Dear all, welcome to hrtech.sg's demo edition. We'll be showcasing best-in-class organizational network analysis solutions in today's session. Just a quick introduction about hrtech.sg. We are a Singapore headquartered hrtech advisory and consulting firm. We host what is Singapore's largest and curated marketplace that has over 120 providers across 8 HR categories. We are also co-creators of the Singapore HR Tech Market Map in partnership with Adrian Tan. The Market Map is endorsed by Institute for Human Resource Professionals, the Singapore Human Resource Institute, and Singapore Polytechnic. And we work very closely with the HR community in Singapore in evangelizing the adoption of technology. The Singapore government has been encouraging businesses to transform by adopting technology in all aspects of running the business, including the human resource function. In the recently released IHRP study on the impact of technology on human resource sector in Singapore, Willis Tower Watson has identified 3 key technology trends at the heart of HR transformation. Number 1, advent of intelligent automation. Number 2, rising expectations of employees for consumer grade experience. Number 3, shift from basic data analytics towards predictive analytics and modeling. And the last point actually on analytics has come out as the most important area impacting HR function in the next 3 years. In line with the above, hrtech.sg embarked on the Demo Hour event series in 2019 to evangelize and promote the use of HR technologies. The event provides a platform for HR tech providers to showcase their solutions, thereby aiding the acceleration of adoption of HR tech. The event motto has been only to showcase demos and not presentations. The first event happened on September 2019 at our WeWork facility in Suntec, Singapore. Today, we have our March edition of Demo Hour. Today, the focus is on organizational network analysis. So what is ONA? It's actually a structured way to visualize how communication in the form of information and decisions flow through an organization. It can really provide powerful insights by creating statistical and graphical models of people, tasks, groups, knowledge, and resources of organizational systems. So today at our event, we have 3 of the leading, I would say, best-in-class ONA providers. Cognitive Talent Solutions, represented by Francisco Marin. We have OrgMapper, represented by Vaishali and Balzs. And we have Panalyt, represented by Daniel West and Ronen Lamden. We will discuss in this edition on how ONA can help enterprise HR teams. And that's what the 3 providers will essentially attempt to showcase. They will show how it can analyze digital interactions across various communication and collaboration systems, how it can help you in leadership diagnostics, in organizational and workplace design, how you can identify best fit resources for your M&A transitions and interactions, how it can track organization and employee performance management, and most importantly, how it can support all of your D&I initiatives by detecting unconscious bias from interaction behaviors. Once again, thank you all for joining in for the April edition of Demo Hour. We start our Demo Hour with Francisco Marin, CEO of Cognitive Talent Solutions, presenting to us about their capabilities. Over to you, Francisco.
So, hi, I'm Francisco Marin. I'm the co-founder and CEO of CTS. Just a quick overview of CTS. We are a people analytics company founded by former IBM employees. We focus on organizational network analysis powered by artificial intelligence. In my case, I was working at IBM for 5 years as business analytics leader for the sales transaction support services of IBM in Europe, Middle East, and Africa. Our company is headquartered in Palo Alto in California, but we have local presence in Singapore. One of our team members is currently based in Singapore, and there will be a second team member that will be full-time in Singapore as per June as well. We have been featured by Red Thread Research as one of the top people analytics vendors in the world. And we have also been recognized by David Green among the global top 12 vendors shaping the O&A space. From that top 12, we are one of the only 2 vendors that offer both active and passive O&A capabilities, which means that we can monitor the interactions between employees by through online surveys or by looking at the digital footprint of the teams in tools like Office 365 or Slack. We have experience working with Fortune 500 and Global 2000 companies in different companies, and we have been named Emerging Innovator of the Year at the 2020 NWA Tech Summit organized by Walmart, along with their Executive Vice President of Consumer Products. So what we offer basically is a cloud-based platform called Cognitive Network Analyzer. Again, we are one of the 2 providers that offer active O&A based on an online survey, where in this online survey, we will ask employees how they interact with each other based on a number of informal interactions. And the main purpose of this exercise is to identify the informal leaders in the organization. The second module, passive O&A, what we will do here is to look at the digital footprint of the teams in tools like Office 365 or Slack, and we can use this to monitor productivity and burnout risk. Our value proposition focuses on privacy, scalability, and actionability. We focus on privacy because when we do passive O&A, for example, we do not analyze the data at employee level. We only do it at aggregate level. We can do it at organizational level, team level, or department level. This is important because if you want to analyze the data at employee level with passive O&A, you will have to individually ask for the explicit permission of each of those employees. In a large organization, this sometimes is just not feasible or is very cumbersome. We should not confuse here. Give access to the employees to insights about their own network does not imply that they are giving you the consent to analyze their data in the background from a manager perspective, right? And then another advantage of using both active and passive O&A is that some of the most actionable use cases of O&A are on change management, onboarding, or leadership development, spinning around the idea of the identification of informal leaders. And informal leadership, because it is a subjective perception, requires asking the employees directly who they recognize as an informal leader based on a number of interactions inside of the organization. We can just not identify informal leaders properly by looking only at their digital footprint in email, calendar, or other tools. So that being said, now we can jump into a demo. This is an example of how our survey looks like for the data gathering process in active O&A. So in our platform, you can actually customize the survey. You can change the wording of the questions. You can change the branding, the colors. You can load the data. You can send automatic reminders, etc. And in the survey, you have a number of informal interactions. For each interaction, you will select the people that you're interacting with, or you can type their name, and the tool will suggest the names that match with what you're typing. That way, we can load thousands of names in a very scalable manner. So this is a very simple exercise, 5 to 10 minutes to complete the survey. People usually will put between 15 to 20 answers per interaction. And within 2 to 3 weeks, you should be able to reach a level of participation between 60 to 75%. Then the results are loaded into the platform. And here, basically, we take into consideration the ranking of the employees based on the nominations that they get in interactions like technical support, personal support, sharing information, or inspiration. So depending on the position you get in the ranking, you are categorized in one of these 3 categories of influence: central employees, that will be the top 20%, intermediary employees or knowledge brokers, that will be the following 60%, and peripheral employees are the bottom 20%. So one of the main use cases of O&A consists in accelerating strategic change adoption through the identification of informal leaders who are positioned as early adopters of strategic changes. So for example, if you're implementing a new technology, you want to use these informal leaders as early adopters, or for example, super users, because based on the 3% rule from Innovisor, only 3% of informal leaders can influence up to 85% of the remaining population. If you're implementing a cultural change, these guys would be your cultural ambassadors. If you're, for example, implementing a merger or an acquisition, these guys would help you accelerate IT synergies and prevent cultural clashes. So if I try to do the same with a peripheral employee, the tool will show me that this person is not able to influence almost anybody in the organization. Other thing that we can do is to load different filters, for example, a team, role, experience, gender, age, or performance assessment. When I select a particular filter, I will see, for example, the network of the maintenance team. I can automatically identify organizational silos and bottlenecks by clicking on sharing communities. The algorithm will color the nodes automatically. And here I can see, for example, there is a group of 4 people that are isolated, which is an organizational silo. And in here we see, for example, David Walsh, who is acting as a bottleneck, probably preventing the rest of his team from interacting with the rest of the organization. So this is how we can automatically identify organizational silos and bottlenecks for organizational design purposes. I can also look at the network of a particular employee within the organization. And I can see, for example, by coloring the nodes by department or by gender or experience, I can get different insights. For example, I can see how transversal is the network of the employee. In this case, I see that it's mostly interacting with the maintenance team, but also with customer service and operations. I can color it by gender, so I can get insights for diversity and inclusion purposes. Or when I click on the name of an employee, I can actually get insights on how the performance of each employee for each of the interactions compares with the average of the role, the company, and the industry, as well as what is the indirect influence of the employee, meaning the percentage of employees that can be influenced through the connections and also the connections of your connections. We can also manage expectations, comparing the employee with people in the same role and the same level of experience to contextualize the insights. And from active O&A perspective, from passive O&A, we look at the data only at team level, not at an individual level, to respect their privacy. And we can provide insights on, for example, burnout risk, overload risk, or productivity. The dynamics of the passive O&A interface are very similar to the active O&A one. One of the main features of our platform is the ability to automatically generate and deliver automated executive summaries, both for active and passive O&A. By the way, the active and passive O&A modules can be acquired combined or separately. So in these executive summaries, for example, you can get insights of participation, overall by division. You can see, what percentage are internal and external interactions. You can compare with the previous implementation. You can see what are the most common types of interactions, what are the most active roles, how variables like tenure or gender or managerial flag impact the influence of the employees, right? What are the drivers behind an informal leader? You can compare the informal leadership assessment with performance assessment criteria existing in your organization. You can see that some of the top performers in your organization will happen to be peripheral employees. And at the same time, some people with unsatisfactory performance rating are actually informal leaders. This can give you some hints into which informal leaders might be using their influence in a negative way. We can also visualize the interactions at aggregate level between different departments through heat maps. We can get insights on diversity and inclusion, seeing basically how different genders, ethnicities, or age groups interact with each other. And we can identify who are the informal leaders and the peripheral employees for each department. These executive summaries can be shared at the organizational level, but also with the managers of each particular department or division, so they can see the results that are specific to them. That's the actionability component that really makes a difference, creating value across the organization. In the case of passive O&A, we can look at things like emails sent, emails received, response time, meetings attended, who are the top clients you're interacting with, and how responsive you are. We can monitor on a regular basis burnout risk and productivity. We can perform automatically correlation analysis, and we integrate automated prescriptive analytics that will highlight the trends within the insights, and will also give you specific recommendations on actions that you can perform. So that would be a quick overview of our value proposition. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Thanks, Francisco, for sharing about cognitive talent solutions. That was really insightful. Couple of questions that we have here is, how do you see the ONA being adopted and utilized by the enterprise HR teams? So you did give some examples there, but anything in particular that you see is more utilized by your customers?
Yes, when ONA had its first boom back in 2008, right? There was really few pioneers that were adopting passive ONA at employee level. Some of them had some not so positive experiences in terms of data privacy and also actionability when it comes to identifying informal leaders. This is based on the feedback that we hear from some clients, right? Then there was kind of like another period where most companies were focusing on active ONA and they were only acquiring passive ONA when the company was already exposed to that first stage of active ONA, right? And now what we are seeing in the industry really is that most companies are adopting a combination of active ONA at employee level and passive ONA at aggregate level. So that way you can get insights on how employees feel and also what employees do, and you can respect the employees' privacy by only analyzing their digital footprint at aggregate level, but at the same time get insights at the individual level through active ONA where they provide consent to participate in the survey. So the combination of active ONA at the individual level and passive ONA at aggregate level, meaning at team level, is what we see right now being most common in the industry.
Okay, and so as I understand that obviously cognitive talent solutions is catering to both active and passive ONA. Is there any other key trends that you are noticing in the people analytics space, especially in the ONA space?
Yeah, so obviously the pandemic has reshaped, right, the way that people analytics functions are looking at the company and what type of use cases they're working on. What we see recently, for example, one use case that has been very trendy due to the pandemic is the identification of skill adjacencies. So actually 58% of the employees need new skills to continue doing their job properly because the skill gap has widened significantly as a result of the pandemic. So in this regard, for example, what we can do through ONA, what we do actually at CTS is to, in the reports, we automatically identify and recommend adjacencies for each of the employees. This what it does basically is that it identifies people that are working in your same role and that are senior to you in terms of influence. So they are good candidates to share their knowledge to you, and they also happen to be interacting with you already based on the insights from ONA. So when you have an employee and you have like 20, 30 different options on how you can pair that employee with a mentor, so that mentor shares the experience with that employee, these reports will point you to the best matches for each particular employee. That's one of the most actionable insights that we are providing to big companies in the context of the pandemic.
That's very interesting. Thanks, Francisco. I'll now call upon Vaishali and Balzs from the OrgMapper team to present their platform.
Thank you, Swecha. Thank you, Sriram. Thank you for this opportunity. We are delighted to share the platform here. Being the pioneers in the field, we invest a lot of efforts in creating the awareness around this intriguing and powerful world of ONA, and thanks for the opportunity. Today from the Marin 7 team, I and Balzs are here. Balzs heads the product and projects delivery at the global level, and I look after the same at APAC and Middle East level. Now, talking about Marin 7, Marin 7 is one of the pioneers in the field and one of the oldest companies in the space of ONA. Though we commercially entered in the ONA market in 2009, but our research history goes way back. In fact, amongst our co-founders are Dr. Tamas Vishay and Dr. Barabashi, who are world-renowned network scientists. Their work has been well published and well acknowledged all across the world. So that's the foundation of our the tool of Maven 7, that is OrgMapper. So here, I would spend a minute over here in highlighting the pillars of our OrgMapper universe. So OrgMapper Academy being the platform wherein we bring together the thought leaders, the experts in the community, and we spread the awareness around this ONA as a concept. We take webinars, we do certifications. So basically the aim here is to continuously share the insights and the recent research and innovations that are continuously happening in the field of ONA. Our next pillar is OrgMapper Labs, wherein we focus on very customized solutions for our clients, be it around merger and acquisitions, org restructuring, diversity and inclusion, forensics. So the particular very customized solution needs are tackled by the OrgMapper Labs here. The third is a pillar of OrgMapper universe is our product suite, that is OrgMapper Excellence and OrgMapper Influence. So we are one of the very few companies in the field of ONA who have solutions both in active and passive ONA. Our flagship tool is our active ONA product, that is OrgMapper Influence, and our passive one is Excellence. So as Francisco mentioned earlier, that active is basically when we ask the questionnaire to the employees, we get the data and we do the analysis, whereas Excellence is the one that we kind of use the API to connect our system, our software to the client corporate communication systems and gather data from the Salesforce, their emails, their calendar invites, and then do the analysis. While Influence is one snapshot, one baseline study of what is happening in the organization, Excellence is our real-time solution that is ongoing and can produce the results on the weekly, quarterly, monthly basis. Now, about our product OrgMapper Influence for Change. Now, basically, it does two things. One, it identifies who the influencers are in the organizations. Now, who are the influencers? Basically, those are the people, 10 to 12% people in the organization whose reach in the organization is 70 to 80%. And these influencers mostly go unnoticed by the management. So our tool automatically, puts in the network science algorithms, calculates your influencers all across the hierarchy levels, distributed across your different divisions, your teams, your units, and provide recommendations on how you can use these influencers, engage these influencers for any kind of business initiative, be it change management, digital transformation, be it cascading your values and culture in the organization, and how we can use those influencers to accelerate the change initiative. We have seen almost 300 plus global implementations of our OrgMapper Influence for Change. Would like to highlight here that this is completely SaaS model of end-to-end process, starting from uploading the Excel file, as you see on the screen here, to launching the survey, to tracking the survey, sending the reminders, and getting the analysis, getting the results, the report, all happens at one place, that is one dashboard. So if you see here on the screen, this is our the Excel upload interface, wherein it automatically does the error checking, the data input validation. And here, if you can see the tabs, we can launch the survey from here. Now I'll move to the analysis section. Sorry, yeah. So this is the interface, how the employee interface will look like. So again, it is really very user-friendly. It is quick, it is effective. The employees will only take 15 minutes. It's highly intuitive. So this is the dashboard for the employees. They can log into their system with the unique passwords and unique survey links, fill in the survey. They can choose up to the names of 4 colleagues for each of the questions. And once we close the survey, we get the data, we do the analysis at the backend, and here is one of the screens of our analysis section of the dashboard. Now, all the algorithms, all the complex data analysis we do at the backend, because we focus on giving to the clients highly valuable, impactful analysis and insights that they can use to lead into some actionables. So this theater branch here is the consolidated view of all the communication diagnostics and the influencers diagnostic here. The theatogram here represents the complete organization. Different units, different segments here represents different teams, divisions, and locations in the organization. If we zoom in here, we can see the communication links. That is, we can see what is the flow of communication and information across the hierarchy levels. We also see here different colors of different units. The pink color here represents bad, that is the communication is poor and we have the communication blockage in the system. So this is a very powerful insight to identify where are the silos, where are the communication blockages, and what organization can do to bridge those silos and improve the collaboration and diffusion of innovation ideas in the organization. Here we give some statistical scores. We also have the feature to analyze both the formal and the informal communication in the system. Here, if we see at the tabs, we have the influencer tab, communication diagnostics, and the downloads. We can download the report. So here is, so here is how our downloadable report looks like. So it's a 30-page report that covers all the recommendations, all the priority focus areas for the clients, for the management. It has highly impacted the MRI report of the organization. So broadly, again, it covers 4 sections. Part 1 is who the influencers are in the organization, where they are distributed, what is their location, where they come from, what are their networking profiles, what are their strengths, and recommendations on how we can use these influencers for different objectives, for example, change management, merger and acquisitions, diversity and inclusion, etc. Second focuses on the communication diagnostics. That is, what is the quality of information flowing across hierarchy levels, as we saw in the theatogram earlier, and what are some of the priority areas for the organization. The third part covers on the recommendations. That is, if we need to, for example, we highlight the priority areas here, and then how we can deep dive further, see what is the exact link that we need to work upon to improve the communication for that particular department. The next is the appendix, wherein we give you some results, the list on the scores and the list of influencers, their distribution, etc. Here, these are some of the sample outputs. So here some are, so the above 4 are the ones from our OrgMapper influence tool. So here, this is the network visualization. Here, each node represents each individual, and we can see the node colors can be different depending upon your gender, depending upon departments, depending upon the analysis that we are doing for the organization. Here, we can identify the bottlenecks into the system, the silos, etc. So this is our OrgMapper influence product. Balzs, over to you for our excellence piece.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much, Vaishali. So yeah, as Vaishali mentioned earlier, I'm Balogi, product manager and product owner of OrgMapper Influence and Excellence. And in the upcoming minutes, I'm going to talk about our excellence product line, the excellence for collaboration and the excellence for feedback. Let me start with the excellence for collaboration. So OrgMapper Excellence for Collaboration is a passive data analysis solution designed to speed up your processes, improve communication across business units, and optimize customer experience. Our tool integrates with the major emailing and calendar platforms and Salesforce to analyze digital communication between your teams. Other data sources are also welcome, and we are always happy to discuss any further integrations. So on the personal dashboard that shows you your strongest connections inside and outside your team and the patterns of communication for each connections. On the bottom, you can see the names of your strongest connections, in which line of service or department or team they based in, whether it's an in-person connection or it is more like an email connection. We can show the reciprocity of that connection and whether clients are involved in these connections. Also, you can compare the number of your strong connections to the averages in your business unit, in your department, or you can compare it to the whole company. Historical data is also available, and based on that, trends are shown compared to the previous periods. If you wish, you can share your dashboard with your colleagues or your managers. Moving on to the company dashboard. The company dashboard gives you recommendations on which connections you should build, strengthen, nurture, or rethink for higher performance and efficiency. Different segmentations of your company are also available on the dashboard. Providing you with insights on business use. PwC UK, for instance, use this to map the collaboration between their business partners and improve cross-line of services, and at the end generate more revenue for the entire company. OrgMapper Excellence for Feedback is an email integrated continuous feedback tool that encourages people to give and collect recognition and constructive feedback in the moment in order to improve personal and team performance and productivity, or even monitor concrete behavior changes within the organization. The sidebar integrates to the emailing system and opens automatically when you receive an email from a colleague. By giving more feedback, you encourage others to share helpful insights about what you are doing well and how you can improve. Your team members have the opportunity to set their own development goals and request 360-degree feedback to help them achieve their objectives. We provide various ways to filter and analyze feedback on the individual, team, and company level. Of course, privacy is important, so when giving feedback, you can decide if you wish your name to be displayed or to remain anonymous. For the business use perspective, one of our clients, for instance, wanted to support exact behavior changes. Thus, we provide a feedback tool for them in which we integrated ideal wish behaviors as badges, so the colleagues could provide the ones they feel their colleagues improved in. As a result, the success factor of the behavior change project can be monitored. Thank you for your attention, and if you are interested in our products, feel free to reach out later on.
Thanks, Vaishali and Balzs, for sharing the demo. Just a few questions that we have. What are the key trends that you're noting in the people analytics space, especially in the ONA segment, and how is OrgMapper addressing that? And I'll say the next question as well, so that you can kind of combine in the interest of time. How do you see, I mean, what are the features that of ONA that you're seeing most adopted and utilized by the enterprise HR teams?
Thank you, Svecha. So biggest trend here in the people analytics industry is we see a lot of traction these days from the business leaders, towards people analytics. Today, HR leaders, business leaders, they want fact-based diagnostics of their problem, the objectivity in the solutions, where there is no scope of biases or manipulation. So they are, banking upon the tools like ONA to solve their people and business-related issues. And so we see here that ONA is not only an HR tool, but a business tool that is used to improve the employee productivity and kind of strengthening the strategic strategies of the organizations. So one of the the mindset that needs to be changed in the players that we are in the ONA field is we need to move beyond the people analytics company and shift our mindset to being the strategic solutions providers to our clients. And that is the main, the USP of our tool, that we all our insights, all our outputs that get generated from the platform, they focus entirely on creating the business value for the clients.
Okay.
Talking about some other, sorry, you were saying something?
Yeah, you probably can just finish since we are just running out of time.
Yeah. So I would like to address your second question here, some of the USP and features of ONA and how we see that the ONA trends being changing in the how the HR enterprises are using ONA products for solving the business issues. So one is we, especially in the post-pandemic era, we are seeing the clients using ONA for change management issues when they are trying to figure it out the work hybrid models for their organization. So this is the ONA has become the go-to tool for them. And that is our USP as well, that we are integrating our platform, our solutions to cater to these needs for the clients.
That's great. Thanks a lot, Vaishali and Balzs again for sharing. I'd like to call upon Daniel and Ronen from the Panalyt team to present. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Hi, my name is Daniel West. I'm the founder and CEO at Panalyt. So I'll just talk about the company for a few minutes, and then I'll dive into our demo. So the Panalyt comes out of the last 20 odd years I've spent in in-house HR. I was previously the head of HR for Apple in Japan for a number of years, and then moved with Apple to the US, and I ran HR for the US sales operation and the global online store expansion. I then spent several years running HR for global organizations, particularly headquartered in Asia. And then most recently, I was head of HR for Uber International through the super high growth. We went through a growth of about 300 people outside the US to over 4,500 in a year, which I don't recommend anyone else do. But it was a great educational experience being on that side of the fence, of understanding the kind of demands that fall on HR about how we should be delivering data to our clients to show value, and really the challenges to that in terms of the technical challenges and how you extract data out of HR systems and deliver that to clients, and the practical considerations about how you make data really actionable to line managers and business partners who are not data professionals, but they need to have data at their fingertips in order to make better business decisions. These are the challenges that we really set out to solve with Panalyt. So let me share my screen here. So as it relates to O&A, our focus with Panalyt has initially been in these areas of integrating data from HRIS, survey data, talent data, etc. But particularly during this last year with COVID and working from home, we quickly realized that this O&A data, relationship data, and the activities of people online was going to be a really important source of data about your people. And so we set out to integrate that data with the rest of the data sets that you can see here. And so we've integrated data from Office 365, G Suite, Slack, etc., so that we can combine this with the other people data sets to give a complete picture of your people and their activities. We've been doing this for about 3 years, particularly in the last year with the integration of the relationship data. We've been recognized by people like David Green, Josh Bursin, Red Thread Research. I think a couple of our colleagues on the call are also on the Red Thread research in this area. And we've been really identified by all of the analysts as being particularly valuable in how we can deliver practical analytics and how we've been able to merge these two fairly complex data sets of relationship data, O&A data, and people data. And I think it is because of our focus in combining these data sets and making them truly actionable for line managers and business partners as our core users. I think it's because of that focus we've been recognized for being particularly leaders in this niche that we're all in. Okay, so let me jump into our system and I'll walk you through some of the particular use cases that our clients have been leveraging our tool for. So this is our user interface. It is targeted at line managers and business partners as users, and it's not focused on data professionals or data consultants. This is aimed at being a practical tool for managers to understand things like attrition. So we have attrition dashboards that help managers to to drill into their data to understand the attrition and what's driving attrition behind their teams. We have dashboards that dig into headcount, just understanding, where your people are. You're able to drill into this using our filter set. You can drill in to understand the headcount, compensation, attrition, etc. of any team in any location, and drill in either using the filter tray or drilling in directly by just clicking into the screen. And so you can see it's a very flexible user interface that allows you to see aggregated metrics across teams, but also with one click on what we call the data view, you can see the underlying data of the individuals. And I think from my practical experience of being an HR business partner for many years, if you can't get down to the individual level of the data very quickly, it's very hard to make these kind of insights actionable. And so we've carried this over into our interface for O&A data. So let me show you how we've approached the challenges in making relationship data actionable and understandable by the average user. So this is our starting interface. We have a number of interfaces that show the relationship data together with the people data, but this is kind of our starting point. You can see that we keep the interface very simplified. It's automatically filtering based on higher levels of relationship rather than lower levels of connections. And let me just show you how that would look. So this is the connections across this demo data set, but automatically grouped using this clustering tool, because it makes it slightly easier for people to understand on first viewing if we're clustering, in this case, by the division level. So let me let me zoom in for you so that you can see how individuals within the organization are connected within their teams. By clicking on any one individual, you can see we instantly get the information from the people data automatically pulled in. So here we're seeing name, email, organization, etc. But what we can also do is we can edit the attributes in that window from any of the people data points that we've gathered from any of the other systems. So if you have compensation data and you want to understand how compensation drives relationships or what the correlation is there, you could add compensation into this into this field. If you wanted to add performance scores, engagement scores, etc., any of these data points can be added or taken away. And then that makes that data point accessible through this interface and filterable. So let's see if we want to understand sort of where Martha is. So you can see there, we can, by just clicking on the single pin, you can pin individuals and their names. If you want to understand what department Martha's in, there we are, marketing, and we can zoom in and out very easily. But let's say we want to understand what team everyone's in, we hit this double pin, and now you can see that we have sales, design, technology, marketing displayed here. And that could be any data point you want it to be. It could be their performance scores, it could be their engagement scores. So let's talk about a really practical use case that that people have been using this tool for. So let me simplify this a little bit. Let me drill down to just one team, let's say just the design team. So you can see how quickly you can filter to a more defined population. Let's use this tool that we call the layering function. So we can layer in any data point from anywhere in the people data. Again, the richness of having any point of data from any of your people data sets available is incredibly powerful. In this case, we want to look at tenure. So a lot of our clients that have started using this tool during COVID, they wanted to understand how new joiners are integrating with the team. So let's choose this 0 to 6 month period. And so you see how that layer has come up here in gold. So as soon as I hit done, it's going to highlight everyone with 0 to 6 months tenure in gold on the chart. And so this gives you a really simple way of understanding who in the 6 month tenure is integrating into the team and who is being left somewhat on the sidelines, has formed smaller connections than you would hope to see in the organization. So we can very quickly hit on some individuals. So there's Kelly. Let's highlight her. Let's highlight I think that's Heather. I can just drag this in. Okay, that's Heather. So we've identified 2 individuals who are less connected into the organization than we would like them to be. And so let's identify a couple of super connectors. So there's Courtney, there's Michael. And so let's effect as a business partner, I can effect an introduction between Heather, Kelly, Courtney, and Michael. And I can arrange, let's say, for regular one-on-ones over the next several weeks. I can arrange for them to be on project teams together. I can intervene to make sure that we're not going to lose the valuable new hires that we've made during this COVID period. It's a very hands-on approach, but it does reflect the practical reality that most business partners do need to do live with. We're in a practical role, and we need tools to help us do our jobs better. And during COVID, this kind of tool has been invaluable. The other very valuable tool, and I will just jump into a slide here to illustrate this. The other tool we've been looking at from the same data set is the activities that people are performing. So not just the relationships, but also how much time in their work hours, in their non-work hours, are they spending on meetings? Are they spending on emails? Something that was very important during the last year was understanding how people were time shifting their work. So if you see this over time chart on the bottom here, you can see January, February, March, April, etc. And you can see the number of hours people are spending during their work hours and number of hours they're spending during their non-work hours. And again, this is purely from data that we're pulling from their email and calendar systems, and we're understanding their individual behaviors. And what this was able to show is, if you see the trend line, January, February, March, a significant decline in the amount of collaboration hours during people's work hours. And managers were seeing this, and they were very concerned about what this was, how this was impacting their organization. But what we could show them was that the non-work hours was rising over that same time period and was balancing out. So obviously, people were time shifting their work. They're looking after their dependents during the day, and they're catching up with either early mornings or late evenings. They're catching up with workloads. And what this meant was that managers could shift their expectations, and they could understand when they should be setting their one-on-ones, when they should be setting their deadlines, and setting their expectations appropriately for how their teams were performing. And again, something very particular about the Panalyt tool is that this tool is being used by business partners who are seeing their population, or line managers who are seeing their population. So this data isn't general organizational wide only. It is tailored and specific to the user. And so it makes it very actionable for that user to dig into practical ideas around engagement, performance, gender, if you want to understand how gender diversity is impacting the organization. Is there exclusionary activity at the gender level? If you wanted to layer in also then seniority, so are my senior executives also women, and are they talking to each other? You can understand that within the system. So that's a quick overview of how we've been able to integrate O&A data together with people data and make that actionable. And so thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thanks, Daniel, and that was really insightful. Just a couple of things that we wanted to drill down upon is how do you see the ONA being adopted and actually utilized by the enterprise HR team, considering it's still something they are not used to? And what are the key trends that you have noticed? Or you did mention the remote work thing that you showcased here, but what are the other key trends that you're noticing, especially in the ONA space, and how is Panalyt catering to that?
Yeah, no, I think those are the right questions. I think your first point around how companies or HR people are actually using the tool, I think this is really at the heart of what we feel our unique offering is, that we've from the ground up, we're built as a core people data analytics tool, and that O&A is just one of the data sets that we're pulling in. And I think what that's enabled us to do is to make this aspect of the product, this data set, available to clients that aren't necessarily going out looking for it. They're not thinking, oh, I need to understand relationship data so that I can do X, Y, and Z. They want to understand what's happening with their people. And also we're saying, okay, well, you've got compensation data available, performance data, engagement data, and also here's your relationship data. Explore this data set so that it's giving you an insight into how people are behaving and an insight into how you can intervene. Every organization is unique. We get asked about, are we delivering automated insights? And although we can, what we prefer to position our tool as, this is a tool to explore hypotheses and understand the interventions that are appropriate for your organization. And so that's why we make the tool so interactive and make every data set available within every part of the tool. So I think the most practical answer to your question is what I was saying before about new joiners, allowing HR teams to identify how new joiners during this whole working from home period, how new joiners are or are not becoming integrated into their teams. I think you're also asking about sort of what the trends in leveraging this kind of data, what I see going forward. Yeah. So I think where this data goes, and I think what the continuing trend is going to be, now we're moving from everyone working from home to more hybrid working situations. And we've done a lot of work with companies that are talking about how they can move people back into work, but accommodate hybrid working. And we think it's super important to be using this relationship analytics to ensure that the people who are working more at home, less in the office, versus the people who are working more in the office, less at home, where that balance is inherently unbalanced, you're going to see gradual disengagement from the population that's more likely to be working from home. Also in organizations where you see a division between grade, where more senior people are going to be in the office, less senior people are going to be out of the office. And I think that's going to translate into basically promotions. What I've said to a number of organizations that want to embark on a real hybrid model is, let's look at your promotion activities over the next year, because I'm going to guarantee that people that come into the office more are going to get promoted more than people who are not in the office, if you're not aware of the biases that are going to emerge. And so I think O&A, I think ourselves or OrgMapper or our cognitive talent solutions, I think any of us are going to help any client get through the challenges of creating a real hybrid organization. And I think if they're not using O&A, I don't think any hybrid organization is going to succeed.
That's really insightful, Daniel, and thanks. As we come to the closing of the session, thanks everyone again for showing the platform as such. And we are all aware that how work gets done inside the organization can be mystery, even in the best of times. And when we add in the events that have gone in the year by, like the rapid move to remote work and virtual collaboration, it only adds to the complexities. O&A tools like the ones we saw in action today can help lift the curtain by helping organizations and HR teams to understand and quantify certain areas like trust, relationships, collaboration, etc., which have traditionally been difficult to measure. These tools help uncover potential gaps in performance, boost productivity, promote innovation, improve communication and collaboration, identify influencers, support D&I initiatives, and even contribute to the employee well-being by detecting burnout. To be successful in reaping the maximum benefits, like any other HR tool, tech tool implementation, when building out an O&A plan, it is important to start with a why and think about how data can be leveraged to make data-driven decisions for the organization-wide impact. On behalf of hrtech.sg, I would like to thank all our partners for sharing and showcasing the demo of their innovative solutions. If you would like to see more of such demo sessions, do drop us a line at info@hrtech.sg. Thank you and have a good day. I'd like all the partners to come on camera, please, for a group photo.